Wait, it's online. You can go back and watch it. All right. No, this is still Jason's. Mr. Kwan won't be able to give me one until next week. But we are going to get one. The problem was the old one that he had. I don't know how or why, but they completely stripped the operating system off it even. So he like reinstalled the operating system and everything, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be Monday, right? He's like, yeah, Monday. Make sure.
I think we did the same thing on that laptop, desktop, MacBook Mini of mine. We did the same thing. With,
Oh, wiped it completely off.
because when
Well, yeah, because he was gonna turn it into a PC.
is that right?
Yeah, because he was gonna use it to run the server. Yeah, that's.
He asked me what the outcome was after the tea. And I said I was able to go to the bathroom pretty
Comfortably.
comfortably the first thing in the morning. Be careful.
All right, great. We got a live stream going.
See the sweat coming out.
No, it's not.
This time the class is so hard. They call us the
Yeah, she has like her. She has the worst group of people
worst group of people.
at the last hour of the week. The worst people at the worst time.
It's the same in my Friday last class.
Was that a middle school class?
High school.
Oh, they're high school too. I knew yours was high school. I was asking about his.
Now sure, I'm so tired.
Ooh.
I totally understand. I'm feeling exactly wiped out. If I don't plan something like fun, huh? Today's class was supposed to be a fun class, which is like speaking test, listening and speaking. I mean, how cool would that be, right?
Well, let me go really quick and grab my bag too, so I'll have all my stuff.
That one, huh? They wiped you too. They wiped you too.
They were okay. Oh, I'm sure I'm so tired. And then one guy, he took out his, they were doing a project, and he opened a online Mahjong, and I grabbed his computer and said, can I give you this Mac? He wanted to play Mahjong.
In your class,
Oh, online. And I took that computer and I said, can I give you this Mac?
good. One of them was like in my, like the first week. I found her playing focusing like what? Like seriously? Like when I'm trying to speak to you and you're like acting like you're doing something. No, we didn't have my students were so good. So good.
Is the seat taken?
This one is taken.
Who's this one for?
My bag. But you won't be able to see anything if you sit there. Because it's the computer is there, buddy.
But then they can't see me either.
So it
That
was,
was
was that on purpose?
But then again, they can hear you talk. But you had to sit
And it's
behind
going to be like, recorded, so maybe we shouldn't sit there.
Maybe he's right. Maybe we should move it because knowing us three, yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, okay.
Probably down there.
Okay.
They're probably going to ask us to move down anyways, closer, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
But far enough away from the video so they can't hear us.
Maybe let's keep going.
Are you recording now?
Not now.
We don't have so many teachers here anyway, so. Is it recording?
Yeah, it is actually.
Are you recording? Are you live streaming now?
Yep. 4 minutes to
Hey. Hey, can you start over?
You don't know? When
I'll talk to Mr. Brady. Yeah. Because we just had a conversation that says
yeah, just over there.
Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you start over
Yeah, can you start over?
and delete it?
Why?
Because I use the word we had a conversation how we need to move, so we get actually cancel that and then delete that on the screen. But I thought you could actually delete the video on YouTube. And I think it's just I'll sit over there.
Okay. You can always check it this way too. So I have Mr. Musselman's feed on here. So that's what people are actually seeing right now. There's a little bit of a lag. Like, it's like now they're not standing here anymore, they're over there. Yeah, maybe because it stopped playing. Maybe if I go forward. Yeah, it's still, because she's still standing there in this one. Yeah, I know, right? So yeah, I'm guessing like 2 or 3 minutes behind what's actually happening on stage. Oh yeah, now.
Do I have to set?
Yeah, yeah. But you can go to Jason Musselman on YouTube.
afternoon. Thank you for coming after school, after you're done, after you've still got many responsibilities and so forth. But it is important that you hear just how the visit went. First of all, it went great. Thank you. We've had a good time. Those of you who have been here for over 2 years know, I was here 2 years ago when the initial visit was done, or not the initial visit, but the former visit was done. And so I am thrilled to be back to see all the improvements that you've made, the great things that you're doing, and all the strides forward that are happening at this school. Dalton School is truly doing a wonderful job, and we appreciate it. Before we get started, I want to say thank you for all of you to allow us to come into your room, to visit, to disturb you, to ask for one thing or another. I know it's not easy. We didn't get into every classroom because our time was so limited. When you're here for 2 days, it's truly a snapshot of what's going on. And so we got into many rooms. We tried to see, we saw people in every level and every class, like English and social science and so forth at the middle and high schools. And so thank you very much. And if we missed you, we're sorry. But when we were here 2 years ago, we did get in to see every teacher, and that's critical. But this particular visit is primarily meetings to talk with people about how are you feeling, what did you do. You've all been in some kind of a meeting, and so you know what that's all about. Before we go into the report, though, I'd like to introduce Malcolm, who's been my cohort and colleague for these 2 days, and he's done a fantastic job, I'm here to tell you. I couldn't have done it all without him. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. And I just got to be Christian because obviously I'm Emmanuel. Malcolm is the high school principal here. Nice to meet you. No, it was a wonderful collaboration. Thank you. I really appreciated it. So my name is Emmanuel Bonin, and I come from the Shanghai American School, deputy head of school over there. Quite new to the region actually, because I started there. I started in China last summer, and before that I was in California for 12 years. And really thrilled to have the opportunity to visit the school. I'm looking forward to us giving our report, but as Janet said, it's going to be, as you will see, overwhelmingly positive. From my perspective, I'm really truly impressed from what I've read from the initial report 2 years ago by the efforts that have been made and by the learning I've seen taking place in the classrooms I visited. So congratulations to everyone, and we'll try to make it short so that everybody can go. I can go catch my plane to Shanghai, and then everybody can go on a well-deserved weekend. So thank you.
Malcolm put together a little PowerPoint when we had a few extra minutes, which I duly appreciate. When we do a full visit, we do a full-on PowerPoint with pictures and everything, but we just didn't have time to take pictures, so there aren't any of them with this report. But so what we're going to do is kind of review where you were, what we got to start with, the recommendations that had been left previously, and how you've done there. And then eventually we will go to the commendations for this visit and the recommendations. Understand also that what you read in the report is just that. It's what we're sending on to the commission, the accrediting commission. We make a recommendation to them regarding the term, but we cannot share that with you because it is just a recommendation on our part. The commission will read our report, they will read your report, and then they will hopefully validate the recommendation that we have made. I've been very fortunate. I've never had them overturn one of my recommendations, but I know there's always a first time. So I always try to make sure that we have done the job that we're supposed to do and have been very thorough. These were the critical areas for follow-up that were left for the school to work on, or the recommendations, if you will, to work on for the last 2 years. And at that time, we recommended a 6-year term with a mid-cycle visit at 2 years. Frequently, the mid-cycle visit is at 3 years, but we felt that there were some critical areas that needed to be addressed promptly, and we knew that 1 year was not enough time, and 3 years might have been too much time, so we settled for 2 years. And this is done very often with schools, so you weren't being singled out for anything. So these are the critical areas for follow-up that were left. Clarify the roles and responsibilities of the CDS board and administration. That was to make sure that nobody was tripping over anybody else in doing their jobs, that that the administration had one set of responsibilities and the board had a different set of responsibilities, and the two weren't getting in each other's way. There has been progress in that area. To improve the hiring process and 2-year contracts. When we were here before, new hires were given a 1-year contract, and we said, oh, no, you need to give 2-year contracts so that they can plan ahead and adjust and find a regulated area and know that they are secure for 2 years, and they have done that. And so those of you who are new have never known anything different. Those of you who have been here for a while realize that that was a step forward. 3 was to provide time and training for data literacy and data analysis. That has been done, and you've come a long way, but there's always a ways to go. And so we are saying the fact that you've made some progress there, don't stop now because there's still ways to go. Everybody needs to understand how to use the data that you're collecting. You've learned how to analyze it, but in some instances, using it and knowing what to do is a challenge. So beyond that, I think you'll get there because we've recommended that professional development take place, additional professional development take place with that. Develop a professional development plan based on, focused on 3 to 4 areas. That has certainly changed too, because when we were here before, it was kind of throw it at the wall and see what sticks. And the past 2 years, there has been more concentration in specific areas to make sure that everybody in the school was working in the same area. Not that you can't work on other areas that you are interested in as a math or a science teacher or English or whatever, but there's certain areas that are school-wide that everybody needs to be involved in, and that is coming together. Develop a transparent system of budget development for orders. That has also changed because everything used to be ordered right at the beginning of each term, and now the big ticket items are ordered in advance before school starts so that we can be assured that they will be delivered in a timely manner. And as we quiz teachers and directors and principals and so forth, we found that there does not seem to be any problem with the consumables, that they're being ordered and arrive in an appropriate time to be used at the time the teachers want to. And foster a climate of transparency, salary and benefits, student behavior issues, academic dishonesty. And so we've investigated that, and it seems that progress has been made in those areas too. So you're to be applauded for the work you've done. I know it's not always easy when a team of strangers like Emmanuel and myself come in, and then we say, well, you need to do this, and you need to do that, and you need to do something else. Because it's how do they know our school. You'd be surprised how much we can learn just from our short visits, walking into a classroom. Both of us as principals have learned that you can walk through a classroom for 5 seconds and you can learn a lot about what's going on. So we put that skill to work as we go on, and we come up with the areas that we feel will help the school the most to move forward, to improve student achievement, and to ensure that the school is getting better and better all the time. The school plan in 2015 contained these 3 strands. One was to increase staff and student awareness and the use of technology in order to ensure that all available resources are being used. In addition, CDS will acquire more and newer forms of technology, that is Chromebooks, software, app licenses, improved wireless. And that has happened. We were thrilled to hear that all first program and middle school students have Chromebooks to use here at the school. That is an awesome achievement. And the fact that the high school are using the BYOD, the bring your own device. So technology has taken a giant leap forward at this school. CDS students will increase their ERB test scores by 2% per year through developing a school-wide curriculum that supports our students who in the majority of cases do not speak English at home. Because the ERB is no longer being used, it's hard to compare data from whatever their last scores were. So the school has gone to the map, as you're well aware, and are getting the data that they need. Unfortunately, there haven't been enough administrations of the test to make a long-term comparison, but that's on the way, and they're getting the kind of data that they need. So that's a good step in the right direction. And CDS students will increase achievement in all curricular areas as a result of instruction and curriculum being driven by data analysis. This will be evidenced by increased achievement across ERB, SAT, AP, PSAT, and ACT scores. And we have seen that. We saw that in the improved performance in AP results and PSAT results. And we took note of the fact that the PSAT results and the MAP results differ but one is a time test and one gives them as much time as they need. So we understand that, and we feel that the school has made some really good gains. That being said, I'm going to turn it over to Malcolm, who's going to talk to you about all the great things that we saw these last few days.
Thank you, Janet. Yes, so when we decided how are we going to present, Janet nicely proposed that I play the good guy by giving you all of our recommendations, and it's going to be 2 slides because we have many of those recommendations. Because again, in just 2 days, through the report and through our observations, we've seen really many great things happening. Before I go into the recommendations, one point on the hiring process. Not only do we commend the fact that now there is a 2-year contract, but we also commend the fact that now the school is going to some job fairs to try to recruit the best teachers here, and probably some teachers who are here in the room have been recruited this way, and we think it's a positive move in the right direction of best practice for international schools in Asia, so that's a great step forward. Obviously, it's already been mentioned by Janet when she addressed the items of your action plan. We were thrilled by the improvements and the expansion of the use and provision of technology within the classrooms. And it's through the Chromebooks, obviously, it's through bring your own device, but it's also through the use of Google Classrooms. And I don't think I entered almost any classroom in which there was no evidence of the technology being used, but being used meaningfully. And I also went, a computer was provided to us, and I was able to go and see some of the digital portfolios that students are using, and I was thrilled with that. Obviously, that's a work in progress. You can see that some of these portfolios need to be beefed up and used on a regular basis, but that's really steps in the right direction. So we wanted to acknowledge that. So as we say, the 2-year initial contracts for new hire is a great move forward. The changes in the budgeting process so that purchases can be ordered at the beginning of the year. So all these points were the answers to the action plan, and you really did it. We do commend the move from ERB to MAP, measures of academic progress, because again, that's best practice. That's what's being used now mostly in schools in the US and especially in international schools. And that's a wonderful tool to measure your growth, especially on a longitudinal basis. So we encourage you to really use data and data analysis so that in the long term, after 3 years, after 5 years, you can see the progress of your students and use it to as an instant feedback to adapt and improve your instruction also and meet the needs of the students. We really want to applaud the expansion of the curriculum and of the curriculum offering. That was a point that came through 2 years ago in some of the interviews, some of the exchanges. Still, in some of the exchanges we had with parents, for example, there's still requests that more and more AP classes be offered and options for students. But the reality is that there's been progress and there's been expansion. So some of the examples are offerings such as AP Studio Art, regular US history in high school, expansion of the music curriculum in middle school. So we've seen several examples of true curriculum expansion and the offering for students. So that's very positive. We do appreciate how meaningfully and truthfully the SLARs, which align with the 6 Cs, basically in your school, are very well integrated in the classroom and in the reporting within the school. We felt, even in conversation with students and looking at them and exchanging with them, that this is something that is truly ingrained in the culture and identity of the school. And for having been in many schools and having observed sometimes situations in which it's very artificial, the connection with SLARs, I feel this school is a good example of when you leverage those SLARs in order to really improve the student learning experience. So that's great. We do appreciate the fact that the school decided to employ a specialist in learning support and special needs, so that's a great addition to the team in the step of even better inclusion. And we feel there is I was really thrilled in many aspects to feel coming to this school that this school really wants to be an inclusive place for students, for people on staff, so that was really positive. And also we applaud the employment of EdTech director who contributes to professional development for teachers with the sessions and support the technology needs. And I will really continue to encourage that it be seen as a position that is highly pedagogical and connected to the curriculum, and that everybody has some responsibility in making sure you integrate curriculum objectives related to technology within your classroom. And the EdTech person is a support for that in that respect. We believe the school is going in the right direction with the use of project-based learning, PBL. It is really growing in middle school, obviously, with a specific PBL class. I think we'll come back to that a little bit in the recommendations on how to best make use of that. But we've also seen that evidence in inquiry-based learning in the first program and in high school and in the 12th graders project. And this morning I was in class in 10th grade, I think, that was also approaching things through project-based learning. So we really appreciate that. And we also wanted to, because those are, for example, the last point is a point that we didn't see very much appear in the report that was submitted to the school. So you should really be proud of the fact of the efforts that you've made so far in using deliberately UBD, understanding by design, and backward mapping to map your curriculum. It's a very important question for me, and I was able to ask to several new teachers, when you arrived, did you feel that there was some curriculum documentation and that there were some clear expectations as to what you're supposed to teach within the school? Because we want to ensure whenever there is, it's natural in an international school to have some teacher turnover, but it's very important for students and parents to know that there's going to be consistency in their trajectory, in their learning trajectory. And for that, the ability for the staff to work collaboratively on creating those units, creating those maps, curriculum maps, is very important. So you started that project. We also commend the fact, by the way, that new positions are being added to support that. There will be an assistant, I think, academic director next year who will be in charge of continuing that effort, and we really support that. We think it's going in the right direction. We could have probably expanded that list. Again, we took 10 major points. There are many other amazing things we've seen happening. So that was really for the very positive aspects of what we've observed. And I will hand it to Janet again so that she can discuss on what we would like to recommend. But again, these recommendations you will see are on points where progress has already been made, and we just want to volunteer some advice on how to continue on that progress. So Janet, if you want to take over on this recommendation.
Thank you. I always let my team members be the good guy and tell you all the good things, and I get to be the bad guy and tell you the things you still need to work on. These recommendations are designed to help you move forward, not to be punitive in any sense of the word. So we expect that as you move forward, that you will keep in mind the critical areas for follow-up that we gave you the last time, and anything that's still kind of hanging and not quite finished, that you won't just drop it, that you will continue to do it and embed it in what you do in the recommendations moving forward. Number one, the administration, in collaboration with the staff, continue to develop a consistent and targeted professional development plan for the staff that will cover 3 to 4 topics yearly. The revised school-wide action plan will provide specific areas where all staff can benefit from a targeted PD plan. And the school-wide action plan is always revised on an annual basis. It's revisited and revised, and I know that there are some revisions that are being worked on that will be shared with you down the road as they get it all together. Number two, the administration refine the budgeting process so that all levels and all departments will have a yearly budget, and that supplies and materials would be readily available as needed. The board's role is then to approve the finalized budget. And again, this is a continuation of what was left before. Progress has been made, and I know that part of it is in the planning and in the works to be finished. Number three, the administration and teachers continue to improve the delivery of EAL or ELL, whichever you choose to call it, in the curriculum in order to foster bilingual proficiency. Improvements of MAP scores in reading and language usage can be used to monitor progress in this area. Certainly, go right ahead.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was just to really to emphasize this aspect. So when we discussed some of the opportunities and challenges for the school, obviously moving forward with the growth of the school comes the fact that more and more students are coming in first program and sometimes even middle school who don't have yet the level of proficiency of English that allows them necessarily to excel in the programs that you offer. And this comes as a word of advice and caution because this requires many times, especially for teachers coming from the US, a kind of cultural shift in the mindset of how we approach this. And I want to provide a few words. We didn't put it in writing, but for those who are here, I share with you. The idea is the following, is each time we discuss EL, and that was the case in the conversations we had here, very quickly, this is lumped together with all the support and with learning needs, learning support, and those kind of things. And I think it's very important to understand that those are actually some separate things, and that when you have a school where in some classrooms we've observed more than half the students actually are EL students, you can no longer talk about these students as students who need to be fixed and who need support. They are actually the body of the students with whom you're working. They are the new norm somehow. And that means that it becomes a responsibility not single-handedly of the ELL teachers. I'm thrilled to see that there is more and more ELL teachers who are being hired. That's a very good thing. But their role should be seen not necessarily as a person who comes in to pull out the students and support them, and whenever they can, bring them back in. Those ELL teachers need to be seen a little bit like the director of technology as a resource for each and every teacher in math, in science, in languages, in anything, as a resource in order to put some language objective in each classroom and reach those language objectives. So this is very much a mind shift of every teacher in an international school in Asia, in Korea today, is an EAL teacher. And the EAL teacher is here to support those teachers, almost, I would say almost in a coaching position for those teachers. So I would really engage the school to think of moving a little bit away from a model of pull-out and look more at pushing, because you, at one point, if you have more than 50% of your students you need to pull out, the normal class becomes the pull-out class and not the other one. So you really have to take that into account for your future, because that's going to be one of your challenges, like every school almost in Asia today, faced with less expats, more local people coming into the school. So that's a shift that needs to happen, and that's why we put it here. Again, I've wonderful conversations with the people in charge of that. I think you're really going in the right direction, but that's I wanted to take the opportunity for everyone, even if you're not a language teacher or if you're not in ELL, to understand that it's part of your responsibility. And that's definitely true at the high school level also. A 10th grade math teacher should have somewhere in the back of their mind some language objectives for the Korean students to meet and to contribute to that. So that was something I wanted to add.
Okay. Number 4, the administration pursue its efforts to develop a data culture and provide staff with support and professional development in this area. In pursuing these efforts, the administration might consider the addition of a data coach who would be totally responsible for assisting the staff with data analysis and the indicated modifications to be made. Analyzing and utilizing data are very important in today's educational arenas. This is how we tell how students are doing, whether they're progressing, how the school is moving forward or not. And so we need to understand, at home, I talk with many teachers who, well, yeah, we analyze the data. And I say to them, and what did you do with it? We analyzed it. They don't know how to use it once they analyze it. And so that's why we are recommending that there be given consideration to hiring a data coach who will be responsible for helping all of you improve how you use data. Because data needs to be used to drive instruction. When you have kids who do really well, you don't think about it. But when you have a particular area where they don't do well, what are you going to do about it? And the data will tell you what to do about it. And then you have to put on your thinking caps and figure out how to do it. You don't want to do it the same way if you're going to reteach it. You want to find a better way where the kids will get it this time. Number 5, the administration and staff continue to focus on project-based learning with an effort to integrate in the curriculum across across subjects from middle school through high school. We talked with the students about it. We talked with a number of staff about it. We visited classes. Unfortunately, I didn't get to visit because I was doing something else. And when you have just 2 of you, you have to split your efforts. But I heard some wonderful things about it. I like the approach that you're using where the 7th and 8th graders have a single class where they really learn what's going on and then be able to move it on. I know I talked with the individual who's developing this program. He's excited, I know, and we were excited to hear what he's doing. I think it's going to be something that is going to serve your students well, and it's going to broaden their horizons and their abilities to think critically and problem solve. Number 6, the CDS board is encouraged to develop and implement a 3 to 5 year strategic plan that will allow them to publish an annual and open report that should include such things as yearly budgets, growth targets, test results, and yearly planning targets and accomplishments. Other considerations would be effective marketing of the school as they adapt to normal changes and the long-term planning that will accommodate growth. As you're all aware, the international students are not coming in the numbers that they used to, and so things are beginning to change, and you need to plan for that. And it takes everybody to offer their input, but everybody needs to know what's going on too. And we feel that if an annual report were published that included some of these things, that it might help in the effective marketing of the school. I had a couple of teachers say in a meeting today that when they're out in the community and the discussion centers around, well, where do you work? They say Dalton, and people go, where? Who? So the marketing needs to be upped, because there are people right here in this community who don't even know who you are. So with the publishing of an annual report that is open and honest, and that any parent who wants to have their child come here could learn about Dalton, this would be a good thing to do. It will also help in the long-term planning as normal changes and growth occur. And finally, number 7, the administration continues to meet students' needs as they prepare for college admission by providing appropriate and additional training for the counselors that will ensure students and their parents have access to the knowledge needed that will allow them to make appropriate choices for their post-secondary educational endeavors. And by this, we don't mean that the counselors are not doing the job. They are. But counseling needs and responsibilities are changing as the needs of the community and the parents change. Because both the college counselors that I spoke with said their biggest challenge is dealing with the parents. Where a student in April says, oh, well, I want to go to the United States, and I wanted this, and I wanted that, and I want to study, and so on and so forth. And by the time they come back to school after summer break in August, well, you know, I think I'll go to school here in Korea. Not that there's anything wrong with that, there isn't. But there are resources to help the counselors be able to deal with this issue and this challenge, because the students need to be happy, but the parents need to understand too that they're now 18 years old or older, and that, you know, like it or not, they are going to go away and break out on their own, and this is perhaps the first step. So we think that with additional training, with additional resources that might be provided, that they might even have more tools at their fingertips with which to help your students, because I know the acceptances are wonderful. You're getting some very fine acceptances from the schools in the United States and the schools in Korea. So this is it. We thank you very much, but remember, you can't just put this up on the shelf and say, okay, we're done. It continues on Monday, not literally, but it needs to still be on your radar as you move forward, planning and thinking about what you can do to address these recommendations that we've given and to build upon the commendations that we've left for you. Because that's where it all starts, is looking at the commendations and building on those, thinking outside of the box and stepping outside of the box to put it into effect. So again, thank you so much. I will miss you guys, and I wish you good luck as you move forward. And I expect to hear from you.
Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for your warm welcome in the community. Thank you.